recently, right? And this young kid came up to me. He was like, "Yo, I need some game." He's like, "Yo, y'all show, like, tell us younger people what to do, cause we watch y'all show." And he was, I figured he was trying to make conversation. I'm like, this guy just wanted, but he was so sincere. But like, "Yo, I need you to give me some game." You understand? And I think this show should be dedicated to giving people game that need it. Because some watch this show to actually learn, not just to laugh and they're bored. So he asked me this question. He was like, "Yo, my girl isn't really all that." And, you know, she kind of like a 7. Her body kind of went down and we got a lot of years in. I want to be outside like you, man. I want to be partying. And I said, "Listen, bro, that route that you might want to take might not be the best route for you." And he said, "Well, make a show about it." So I want to ask y'all today some of the biggest mistakes you ever made in dating and to tell somebody what not to do. Your biggest mistake that you always seem to do that you finally learned not to do.
So the biggest mistake I've made, and I think we can all agree, was I think I put a lot of my wants and needs on the back burner for other people and sacrificed a lot for them. And I think, you know, go to school if you're gonna go to school, open that business if you're gonna open a business. If you wanna work a nightlife job, work that nightlife job. Stop getting into these relationships so young. Enjoy yourself and stop like putting yourself on the back burner, because you don't wanna be that girl that says, "Oh my gosh, you know, I gave up everything for him." That's your choice. You made that choice, you know, and guys as well. And one more thing that I would say is don't cheat the game. The game knows the amount of work you put in.
All right, so bet. So how about you?
So I'm going to agree with a little bit of what she said. I think with me, I've given too much of myself in general. Like, I don't take the time to realize that it should be a two-way. You know what I'm saying? So like when I'm into someone and we're dating, I do everything. I'm there for them. And it's like, eventually I'm going to start feeling unappreciated, right? If that person is not trying to catch up or even try to match me in the energy that I give. So I've made it a point that like, no more of that. So if you're doing that, stop doing it. Stop giving. It needs to be a balance, a give and take. If I'm pouring into you, you pour right back into me. And if that's not happening, stop it.
So, Penny, like, what was your biggest mistake you ever made when you dating?
I would say when I was younger, I like said yes to being in relationships way too soon when I really didn't want to be in the relationship. So I would say to like men and women of all ages, to not rush into making a situation this big monogamous situation, and to just take it slow and enjoy each other's company and not feel so pressured by society to put a label on things when you're not really sure that that's the person you want to be with.
How about you, Dre? Like, what's the biggest mistake you ever made when you was dating?
I think the biggest mistake that I've done was allowing the next person to dictate who I was, right? Because sometimes when we get into relationships, people want you to be who they want you to be, right? You know, they try to change who you are. So, you know, it never works out that way. So you got to be true to yourself in order to succeed in a relationship.
My biggest thing is going against my gut. I feel like, you know, God gives you the tools in life to maneuver through everything. And your gut, people underestimate that gut reaction, that gut antenna. Like when somebody's behind you and you go, I feel somebody staring at me, that's like your senses. God gave you a lot of weapons to use down here against evil and against who isn't against you. And I mean, who is with you. So I feel like girls that I have dated that my gut always said, Guapo, what are you doing? This girl is trouble, you cannot change her. I always tend to be the arrogant dude that think I can change somebody. And if I do something, if I love them extra, they'll change who they are at a core. My advice to anybody is, you cannot paint somebody's color when they already showed you their true color. When somebody shows you who they are, you accept that no matter how hard that pill is to swallow, that's who they are. That man or woman is not for you. And a lot of times we let our, you know, temptation and our, you know, our bodies and our urge to be with them to bypass what your gut already knows. You know they're trouble. And a lot of times when the girls date guys or when men date women, a lot of times there's more flags that are red than green, but we tend to still roll the dice for the, you know, for the rush of it, or for just being human. So I think that we all should not always stay with your gut. 'Cause a lot of times come on, girls, when you get your heart broke by a guy, half the time y'all seen it coming, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
But we
Oh.
sit there and like an idiot and just go
Elaborate
back.
about that.
And I mean, that's another piece of advice you could give. So once you see a red flag, like, but you have to like gain wisdom to understand what red flags are, because you have people that are like, oh, well, he's a great guy, this, that, and third, but then he got like 10 baby mamas, or like he got, he can't keep a job, or he can't, take care of his kids. It's not cute and it's not okay. So you can't be mad when he does it to you because you was okay with him doing it to someone else.
A lot of
Yes.
times a female. So Dre, what's like, name a time when you met a girl and you knew, like, how did that work out when you met a girl and you knew she wasn't for you? You know she wasn't the one. You couldn't handle it, but you still stayed. Like, elaborate if that ever happened to you and how.
I mean, like, sometimes we get caught into the sense of seeing potential in someone, right? So once we see potential in someone where, like how you just asked, I saw potential in someone, right? But sometimes, like, people will show you the mask of themselves, which means, like, they will show you, the version of themselves that they know that what you want them to see, right? So now it's like, okay, basically you turned yourself into an intruder.
Yeah.
You're an intruder. So now you intrude yourself into my life. Now I'm believing, I got caught in a situation where a female told me, she said, yo, you believe, the only reason why you mess with me, you dealt with me, is because you believe of the person who you thought that I was. And I'm like confused, like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm supposed to have done.
I see you over nodding your head, Penny. What's up?
I think
How you feel about that?
I think that's pretty accurate what he just said. Like, a lot of people put on a facade, and then what the person reciprocates, from that facade is also a facade. It's like, you know what I mean? You got to be real
So
if
what's
you
the
want a
number
real
one-
outcome.
So what's one thing that you would tell your younger self that you needed to know then, but you found out now?
I think, like I said before, just like to not feel the pressure to rush into like committing to somebody when
you
you know
to be really,
when you know you don't.
off commitment. Like, why is that?
I mean, look at the divorce rate. I think a lot of people commit even when they shouldn't. I think there's a pressure in society to be monogamous. Monogamy is a huge thing. Like, it's the right thing to do. Like you said earlier, in Disney movies, and it's just like how we're brought up to believe that that's the ideal situation. And I don't think that's necessarily true. It's like it's individually determined.
So do you think like society deems a woman a failure if she's not married?
I think there's a lot of pressure on women to be
Facts.
married
I
and to
feel
be in
like
a monogamous
monogamy
relationship.
curse love. And I do believe that I think we put expectation, unrealistic ones, on others. And I think if we didn't have them, I think people will be more susceptible to like be faithful.
Yeah.
I think like you telling me that I can't do something is gonna make me want to do
Yes,
something.
because that pressure
Is being
that
faithful forever even possible for a man or a woman? Is that like a thing that we just?
It's not realistic, but it could be a thing. It's not realistic, but there are people that are like that.
Yeah.
No, could you have the same guy
I
until you
don't-
die? The same guy? You're not worried about that?
I don't think that, and there's people, because I've witnessed it, there's people that together forever. But for me, personally, I just don't think that there's just one person forever. I feel like you'll have time with people, and you just gotta appreciate that. Like, I mean, look at Nipsey and Lauren London, right? Look at that, Is that to say that she can never be with someone else ever again? I feel like one person and that forever, it just doesn't add up like the Disney movies. It just
know
doesn't
what?
make sense.
This phrase that I seen, Jim Carrey. No, I seen these rich guys at a table, and they were asking like, what was one thing you would tell your old self? And one thing that I would tell my old self is, this too shall pass. Because I always get caught up in the moment and think it's so bad.
That is over.
But usually, we always get through everything. The person that you might think that you can't live without, you're living without.
Right.
You're doing it as we speak. You're stronger than you give yourself credit for. And this too shall pass, to you youngsters might say, oh, that's not brilliant. No, it's actually very brilliant to understand when you're powerless.
Yeah.
Right.
You feel me? When you see somebody that's in quicksand, the more they panic, they sink faster. But when you understand and you stop moving, then you'll stop sinking.
Yeah.
So don't make things worse on yourself. I think this new generation, they're so like you said, like instant gratification. They want things to be done when they want them, and not they panic. Oh, I can't go to college. Oh, my life is done. I can't know. Like that too shall pass. You'll find a way. You feel me? Like life will give you a pattern. Life will always give you a way out. Whether it's right or wrong, there's a way.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So Dre, like when you was younger coming up, like one of the things as a child that kind of ruined your like change your path that you wish you could have could have maneuvered around. Like was it friends? Was it was it gangs, or was it like what was the one thing that changed your life and kind of like put you off course that now you see that happened that you could have avoided?
I would say the streets in general, right? Because now it's like I have to rewire my brain for what the streets have taught me, the standards of what the streets have taught me. The streets have taught me how to be a womanizer. The streets have taught me how to be, a hustler in the wrong way. The streets didn't teach me how to invest my money.
Yeah.
So now as an adult, I have to rewire my brain, you get what I'm saying? As far as how I have to make these things a habit. Every day that I wake up, I have to say, you know what, I'm not gonna be the same person I was before. I have to be the best version of myself.
Angela, how about you? Like, what was the thing that in your life changed your whole course in life that almost could have failed, but now you see like, damn, that could have been when I went off the rails. Like, what have you looked back on?
It was a lot. I mean,
elaborate on something.
Like I've been arrested a few times. I mean, I don't have a record, but I've been arrested a few times. I've, gave myself up like for a man. I let a man abuse me. I kind of abused myself where I was like popping like pills when I was like 18, 19. I mean, I wasn't like, I was a functioning, I went to school and shit, did what I had to do, but I did go off the rails, and I definitely like, I went through the motions. I think I went through every motion you can go through as a teen. I was homeless. I didn't have, my parents weren't there. Like, I did what I had to do for myself. And then there was times where, because I didn't love myself enough, like, I let guys do what they wanted to do to me as far as, like, disrespect me. And I think, like, my downfall when I was younger was definitely guys.
Penny, I see you, do you agree with some of this stuff?
Yeah, a lot of what you just said is like
Like
similar
what? Like how
to me.
does it like relate to you?
When she said being homeless, I've been homeless before, and like just family abuse and a lot of crazy stuff with guys too. Definitely like the contrast of that definitely put me in like a perspective that at the time I wouldn't even think was possible because it was like life.
So
or
at your
death.
bottom, do you think that men took advantage of you when you were at your bottom? Do men do that? Well, not all men, but the men at that time in your life when you was at your bottom, did men take advantage of you?
Yes, but I would say there was a time in my life where I was just operating on such a low frequency from such crazy shit just in my life, my childhood, that people took advantage of me, male or female, whether it was jobs, friends, family, relationships. So men were just a component of that.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like men specifically, but yeah, for sure.
I think it's funny because I really wish like my father was a great dad. He was around all my football games, all my track meets. But I wish when I was kind of getting off track, he kind of like bullied me back on. Like he kind of like, he gave me talks and stuff and like stern moments. But I kind of wish, now I shouldn't be wishing that somebody taught me better, 'cause I knew right from wrong. But it was a time when I was an athlete and I was on the path of maybe should I keep playing football and going to school, or should I just come home and just find my way? I kind of wish like I had somebody there to go, yo, what you doing? Like, yo, go back. I did this before. And he did do that, but I guess I needed some more. I needed like another mentor, because like even having a dad isn't enough. Like you need a foundation. That whole village, like raising a family is true. Cause I kind of forgot about football. I stopped caring about school, and it kind of ended up with me I'm here because of that. And I didn't fail, but I made it harder to be a better person. So I would tell somebody watching this video, like, don't get derailed. Don't trick yourself out your spot. Like if you're an athlete or you're a musician or you're a creator or whatever you are, understand that the choices you make today will haunt you later. I done had nights when I woke up in the morning crying, like, why am I crying? Oh, you had a football dream. Or like other time where I couldn't even watch like football on TV. Like, yo, why am I not playing? So don't regret your life on things that can be changed now. That's the biggest thing today, because time flies. I remember one time my mom said, yeah, you better go back to school next semester. I'm like, don't worry, Ma, I'll go back next semester. I'm young, I'm 21. And then
you
it was
were
like,
30.
and she said to me, don't worry, Tom, I'm gonna fly. I was like, bugging, she's like 50 years old. It flew.
Yep.
Like, think back to when you were 5 years old or 7, your mind, boom. Look how fast that time went to now. Time is invisible, but it's always moving. And I think that y'all youngers, young watchers, y'all get caught in the moment and fun and having a good time, but yo, the music stops.
The music stops.
It slows down. It definitely
down.
slows down.
Yeah,
And it
like,
stops sometimes.
so Dre,
Yeah, in essence, it does stop.
it
Sometimes it
stops.
Yeah.
So Dre, you had mentioned how you've been in the system.
Right.
Like, do you have any regrets like that time? Like, it ever hunts you like, yo, I've been in the system for how long you been there again, sir?
10.
And it kind of, it hurts. Does it like hurt you at times? Like, yo, I kind of miss a lot of adulthood, or have you adapted to it, like not even counting?
Right. So all right. So I went in 2004, came out 2014, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that time, you don't realize like it's like we just spoke about, like time stopped, right? For me, because I'm locked away, right? But it's the mental. You get what I'm saying? Like, as when I came out, it was like different. You get what I'm saying? So it's like I had to adapt. So I realized that, some people fall short to adapting because I was just,
But have you had? But I'm asking you a question though. You ever sit back and dwell on your regrets? Like, damn, yo, I coulda, shoulda.
Of
Does
course,
that
because
affect you?
I went in as in my 20s, right? So everybody really experienced, come out off the porch, so to say, like in their 20s, you experience your failures in your 20s. You get to know who you are in your 20s. So by the time you get to your 30s, you're like, all right, I made my mistakes. I'm ready to invest. I'm ready to, you took all your learning experiences and threw it in a basket and it was like, yo, I'm ready to move forward. You get what I'm saying? But for me personally, I didn't have that experience to have that because I spent my whole 20s inside, solitary to where though. So of course, going back to your question, of course I regret, every aspect of it. But in a sense, I also learned a lot, within myself from being in solitary. You get what I'm saying? Because sometimes when I came out here, people say, I meditate, to get to know myself because out here is a lot of distractions. So when you're in solitary, it's less distractions. You get what I'm saying? So the learning part for me is I was forced to be isolated. I was forced to meditate. I was forced to know myself without any of the social media, of any of the jewelry, of any of the cars, and any of the girls and stuff like that. I was able to learn.
So it's basically like we gave them like the regrets, but like what are the things that like you proud of that you did? The thing that you like, yo, I'm happy I did that at least, or like what about those? Like, 'cause not everything it has to be like a failure. Like,
No. Everything that I wanted to do when I was younger that I couldn't do, I'm doing it now, and I love it. I'm resilient like a motherfucker, and nobody can stop me.
so that pain that you went through, it kind of made you into what you are today.
Yeah, you need to. And you see it. Like, people who've been given everything, they don't appreciate it.
Some people take pain and it brings them down. I see that y'all three kind of made it into y'all strength. So how does your pain that you went through, being homeless, going through all that, how does that make a woman stronger and not weaker?
I feel like for me, like every time I went through something crazy, the contrast of what I wanted was so strong in my mind. Like being homeless is like, now I know what kind of place I want to live in. I know how I want to live. Or in a moment of being mistreated, it's like I know what type of relationships or people I want to deal with. And when you have that clarity of what you prefer, I feel like you just kind of naturally evolve into those places. And now my standards are like high as fuck with everything, with where I live, with who I associate with, as you can see, the relationships, I don't even do that shit unless it's on
So
point.
is pain needed, Mel? Like, is pain, so to be broken and to come up, is pain actually needed to become like the better version of yourself? Can someone be as strong as some of us are today without hitting rock bottom? Is
No.
rock bottom needed?
I don't know about extreme rock bottom, but struggle is definitely a form of some necessity in life to become a strong person. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were born into a situation where you never have to worry about anything, you've never went hungry, you've never had to sleep in the park, like you don't have a care in the world. Now you're an adult and now you're 30 and your world crashes. You're not going to have the resilience to jump back from that. You know what I'm saying?
Can somebody raised in a perfect home be stronger than somebody that wasn't? Like, can someone with a perfect life, perfect school, everything perfect, can that person be as strong as somebody that has hit rock bottom?
That question is very
Subjective,
yeah.
right.
You need to be specific in that question. It's strong in what sense?
Like, you know, with life, when turmoils come, when problems come,
No.
can they still adapt on the fly?
No, I don't believe so.
You don't believe so? How about you?
I don't believe so.
Cause like being in
It's
prison,
hard.
it kind of makes you, it makes you tough.
Yeah.
Right.
Not
right,
like
right, right.
hand-wise, but like
Mentally,
understanding that you got to
emotionally.
deal with this every day for a few more years. Your mind has to get resilient to not go crazy.
Right.
I've been in a cell. You will go crazy if you imagine I got 2 years left. You know what I mean? So how did that affect you? Like, how did that make you stronger?
I mean, like, you know, going back to the original question, like she said it's subjective, right? Like, I could be in prison but have my father in my life. You get what I'm saying? But you can have somebody on the outside, you know, that have a Porsche in a house or whatever, but their father, you know, provided that, but their father never there, right? So that's a different type of, you know, like that's a different type of strain on somebody's life. Whereas, like, you know, they could go through life always looking for a father figure and men and stuff like that. But coming back to the question is like, you know, everybody have their own struggles where in their life they have to really attack because it turns into strongholds.
It's a phrase that sounds corny, but my mother always said, the grass isn't always greener. I used to be like, yo, get that stupid phrase out of here, the grass isn't greener. But like, that phrase is what life and mistakes really are. People leave their wife or their good girl for some other fly chick. It's not greener.
Right.
People hustle and they sell all kinds of drugs and do whatever they got to do to make money because that seems like it's a better option than actually going to work. But then they get 5 years or 8 years in prison or get a record. It wasn't greener. Like, life's about experiences and failures, highs and goodbyes. You feel me? Wins and losses. And I feel like, you know, some of the biggest mistake that we make as youth coming up is we always think the easier way is better. But now that we're adults,
We know
the
that it's
harder, sometimes it's not. You feel me? And even in school, if you cheat on every test, you'll pass the class, but you'll fail the exam.
Right, the final.
You know, you'll fail, like you'll fail at the real job in real life.
Right.
'Cause
But
you know what I mean?
You have
There's
to
no
take
easy way out.
accountability. You have to take, like, that's another thing that you could tell the younger viewers. Like, you have to take accountability. Like, everybody got a story. Trust me, I'll sit here and have you in tears, but you gotta, like, yo, at some point, it can't be on mommy, it can't be on daddy, it can't be on the guy that abused you or the guy that raped you or the 10 years you did in jail. Like, it's some point where you just have to be like, yo, like, that's my shit, I own it. And maybe I didn't get a fair chance at life and I wasn't dealt the best hand, but this is what I got and this is what the fuck I gotta, you know, this is what I gotta move on with.
Because one time I told my dad, I was like, Dad, it's your fault, Dad. And my dad said, yo, don't be coming at me with that daddy stuff. And I was like, you know what? He kind of right, though. Because I'm smart enough to understand, like, right and wrong and how to be a man. I don't need to blame my mother or father on my life. Let's get rid of blame mommy and daddy, because I think a lot of us, we ride with that. My mom and my dad, how I was raised. Like, bro, at some point, you have to understand, it's your ride now. It's your car now. Mommy and daddy, they got you ready for school, but it's your class now. This is your major. And people seem to blame their upbringing on their life. That works to an extent. Once you're an adult and you're empowered to change your own life, you should and you are supposed to. Because that mommy issue and daddy issue, it runs out at some point. Even with a girl, oh, Guapo, you know, I'm this way because I dated a bunch of bad guys. And I'm like, no, I don't grow up from that. Don't bring that baggage. Even me, oh, I had a couple girls that didn't work out. Now I'm dead. No, Guapo, you're not damaged. Grow up. You feel me? Date better, be stronger, and be a better person. Let's stop blaming other people on our demons. You control your demons. Let's stop blaming society and music and culture. No, we have to be adults. As a kid, I always deflected. Scott, you got a bad grade. Oh, it's my teacher's fault. She's a bad teacher. You understand? Oh, yo, I don't get in the game. My coach hates me. No, play better.
Right.
Study
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah.
Stop putting the power of your life into others' hands. Like we tend to always blame other people.
Right.
Like even when I was broke, nobody ain't put me on. Nobody ain't put me in position. Like, bro,
Right.
Put yourself
put yourself in
on.
position.
Right.
Like I hate when I see a grown man broke. It's like, bro, it's a tip agency up the street. Like it's a way to get a bag. Even when a girl, oh, I have to escort. I have to do this. No, you don't.
Right.
It's a million ways to make $1. You chose the one that's easier for you. So I think the biggest thing for these kids, and not even just kids, us, is to stop blaming your downfall because your family don't love you. You know, the bank won't give me this loan. I'm black, I'm Spanish, my body. We are all gods and goddesses.
Right.
It might sound corny to call him God and goddess, but you are. A god is what? One who can create, one who can manipulate, one who can express. That's what we are. That's what a god is. God creates. God manipulates.
Right.
Like humans do. We create. We have art. So I feel as though like we all learned today is like we gotta stop blaming other people. And for y'all watching this show that hasn't really been through what everybody been through, this show gave you a couple examples on ways to not really fall down that lane. You feel me? You learned 5 things today or more. The grass isn't always greener. Trust your gut. Learn from your damage and your experiences. Don't dwell on them. You understand? And move forward. Any last words y'all want to?
And accountability.
That's
And
the word.
accountability.
That's what being a man and a woman is. Because
Right.
when you can't admit your faults, then you already failed.
Yeah.
Right. Facts.
You feel me? If you can't admit your fault, the argument is done. Even when you're dating, if your
Right.
girlfriend or boyfriend can't admit they're wrong, just go. You know what? Let's just stop arguing. Because
Yeah.
I know I'm wrong, but
No, you
you're
keep
not
going
wrong.
in circles,
Right.
Dan. You're
You
gonna
feel
keep going
me?
in circles.
Right.
Yeah.
It takes two. In a
It takes 2.
Yeah.
Like so, I just happy that we had this talk today, and I think it's about to be 4:44. So that means we out of here. And for that dude that see me in the bar that night and asked me for these gems, remember, bro, you told me, yo, my girl, she's losing her body. I got 7 years, and Guapo, I want to be like you, bro. I want to be, and I'm like, bro, I'm in the club right now at 1 a.m. You feel me? And I might be going home by myself tonight. You have a girl who loves you at home for 7 years, and you want to change my spot. But secretly, I said, bro, I want to be you. He was like, Guapo, chill, man. You ain't on the TV right now. You don't got. I was like, that's the problem. The grass isn't always greener. Salute. Peace.